Velkommen til Bøje Larsens blog.
The trip I'll tell you about in this video was made around 30 years ago. It went from Denmark, Copenhagen Airport, Roskilde, via an airport on the western side of Norway, then Greenland, Canada, and to our destination, USA, where we flew to separate states. It was a great experience, also regarding the way private aircraft and their crew were treated. When one landed, they asked, "Do you want a rented car, sir? Do you need to be driven to a hotel, sir? Should we fill up your aircraft with fuel so that it's ready for your departure?" The we I refer to is me and my girlfriend. I recently made a video also here on YouTube regarding a trip I made 60 years ago on a Velosolex moped to Nepal and back to Copenhagen. The title is "Want to See My Trip to Nepal per Velosolex." The Velosolex had a one-cylinder engine using less than 1 liter per hour. My twin-engine aircraft that I used for the trip that I describe in this video used rather around 100 liter petrol per hour. I had installed extra tanks in the aircraft in order to be able to fly long stretches. For instance, the stretch from Norway to the east coast of Greenland to Narsarsuaq Airport, which was built in World War II to allow soldiers and war material to be flown from the USA to the United Kingdom, and thus avoid U-boat attacks on freighter ships. We could not go, even if I had installed these extra tanks, we could not go to the USA in one trip. From the east coast of Greenland to Canada and then to the USA, Burlington Airport in the northern state of Vermont was the longest distance possible. From Vermont flew into other US states and then returned the same way we had come without any serious. Bravo Delta Whiskey was its official name in communication with the air controllers, was a PIPER AZTEC, which had very reliable twin-engine motor. It's often used for training. I later sold Bravo Delta Whiskey when there was built a bridge between the Zealand Island in Denmark and Funen. My consulting company owned the Bravo Delta Whiskey and therefore bore the cost fully acceptable for the tax authorities. But after the mentioned bridge came, it did not make sense to fly to appointments in India, and the tax authorities knew that. And it would be too costly for me to own the aircraft myself with expensive repairs, etc. I therefore sold Bravo Delta Whiskey, and I later heard it was bought by somebody from the USA, so I would not be surprised if this super workhorse is serving as a trainer for new pilots also today. Here's something about the equipment. Oscar Yanko Bravo Delta Whiskey. Picture is taken in a Paris airport. The black things on the propellers are anti-icing equipment that one can switch on if one is flying in moist clouds, low temperatures. If you do not have such things, the propellers will not work efficiently and you will have problems. We experienced that in Iceland on our trip back from the USA. Either they did not work correctly or were not strong enough. So I had to ask flight control to allow me to dive down and out of the cloud. They allowed that, but I had to go quite low before I was out of the cloud and was safe. On the wings you see similar black rubber rings, but they are run by air that is pumped into the rubber that makes ice be blown away. In this picture you can see me at the helm with folded hands. Bravo Delta Whiskey is flying by itself by its autopilot. In my lap I have the air map from the company Jeppesen, affectionately by pilots called Jeppe. New versions are published very often to assure that the information you are flying after is totally updated. I cannot describe all the equipment that Bravo Delta Whiskey had. It takes 2 years to learn, but here's some information. You see a stopwatch about the Jeppe map. It's mainly used when landing to time the approach to the airport correctly. In front of me you see an instrument with an airplane figure on. It is an electronic electronic compass. For safety reasons, there are two versions of each instrument. The second electronic compass is up to the right. Further to the right, you see different navigation instruments. In this picture, you see more of the middle console. Low down is an instrument that is sending squirting signals. It is used so air traffic controllers on their screens can see where you are. Code 7500 is used to indicate a hijack. This is very useful because it allows pilots to form air control of a hijacking without notifying the hijackers. This is naturally most relevant for commercial aircraft. I don't think my girlfriend would hijack the aircraft. Below the squeaking instrument, you see what we could call the gas pedals of the aircraft, but not only one as in a car, but 6. It would only be 3 if this was a single-engine aircraft. To the left is what is similar to the gas pedal in a car. Then comes 2 controls of the rotation per minute of the 2 engines, and then 2 red knobs which control the richness of the fuel injected into the engine. Good during the start and landing. Richness handles should be put in the rich position to assure that the engine is not starved of fuel in these critical phases of flight. Notice that the handles have got different shapes and colors so that pilot nose does not mistake one for the other. In this picture, together 2 photos I made, you see the whole range of the round instrument shows fuel flow to both engines. There are also instruments that show fuel flow. Down to the right in the combined picture, you can glimpse an instrument for the de-icer I talked. Under the gas pedals, you see the handle for flaps up and down. Flaps on means that the wings are more rounded and therefore have better lift, slow speed, which is good for while starting and landing. Notice again the form of the handle. It is flat, indicating that it's a flap handle. To the right, you have the landing gear up and down the handle and down handle. Again, the form that helps the pilot know that it's a wheel to forget to take the wheels up after starting from a runway is no big problem. It only reduces your speed and increases your fuel consumption. But forgetting to put the wheels down when landing is a serious thing. It might, worst case, result in that the aircraft, when touching the runway, will make strong sparks, and the aircraft might then catch fire due to the lot of petrol on board. Therefore, there's also the red handle, which you can use if the hydraulic pump that normally serves to lower the wheels is not working. Then you can hand pump the gears down. Looking, you can see the complexity of such a 2-engine aircraft. For the trained pilot who has flown such an aircraft 1,000 hours, and I had around this number of hours, it's a cozy home where you can relax and sit with folded hands, enjoy your trip, drink your coffee, and read your newspaper. I took this picture on the approach to the East Greenland airport, Narsarsuaq. The airport is seen in the background a little to the right of center as a white strip between 2 minor cliffs. The tricky thing is that you have to pass the relatively high cliffs seen in the foreground and then fast descent for the Narsarsuaq landing strip. Did it without problems, but as it was my first time there, we were somewhat nervous. Then we went on to Canada and the United States and returned home safe and sound to Denmark. I miss my PIPER. AZTEC.